So I'm having one of those oh my goodness wow moments. I was so my characters have gotten to this point where they're sitting down in this treaty meeting. There's like the 5 nations, and they're coming together to talk about how they aren't going to fight anymore. And I had this oh my goodness moment because my friends are helping me determine this character, because now I have to flesh out 4 new leaders, and 3 of them are guys and 1 of them is a girl. And first I was like, okay, so I have this country and they're basically assholes. My friend's like, what kind of assholes? I'm like, the kind of assholes that are like, we're going to rule the entire world and you guys are going to serve me kind of assholes. And it's like, is my leader going to be a girl or a guy? Because this is what my Skype room is for, is helping me make decisions like this. Little ones. Just like, what do you think, guys? Would it be a girl or a guy? And the arrogant man power trip leader is kind of sort of cliche. So my friend Robin mostly advocated for me having a woman as the leader of this country, and Katie. These are the 2 people I'm talking to. Katie was like, yeah, that's probably a good idea. And I have the character alignment sheet from like Dungeons and Dragons, like chaotic neutral and neutral, true neutral, and neutral good and lawful evil and all this kind of stuff. If you haven't heard of them, you should look them up because they're pretty cool. And as I've been going, I've been like mapping out my characters on this chart. So I wanted to make sure I had a good mix in there. So I had a whole bunch of real fun things going on. And we've decided that the leader of this country is a lawful evil, which is sort of evil for the fun of it kind of thing. Or not lawful evil, I'm sorry, neutral evil. Evil for the fun of it. Basically doing her own thing and basically in it for the lols is what I like to say. And so as we're thinking of this character, and in my head I was like, to me she kind of sounds like a pirate. I mean, I even imagine her like ugly as sin with an eye patch. And my friend Katie was like, no, after that passage you just showed me, I imagine her like fucking perfectly gorgeous with like this petulant little mouth. And I was like, you know, that would explain a lot, because later on one of the nations is going on a betrayal trip and joining up with this one. And I was like, that would make some sense, because if the leader of that one was thinking that he could tap that would make a lot more sense for why he would jump ship. And so immediately everybody's going, yeah, it's a great idea. So the council, and I know this is kind of spoilery, but I'm so excited I can't even help it. The council has been going on for 3 days, because she is the one who is detracting from it. The other 3 are kind of mostly on board, as long as everything's going to be, no one's going to renege and everybody's going to make their promises and keep them. And I call her Naysayer, Nimosee, because that's her name. Nimosee is like disagreeing with everything they say, everything that they put forth. She's like, no, that's not going to work. It's not fair. It's not favoring my people. Basically, she's just saying no to say no. And she's breaking all the rules. She's breaking protocol. She's not being ladylike. She's being rude. Basically, she's like the big headache of the whole meeting. And so finally, the meeting is over, and my characters all go back into the room, and they're talking, and they're like, oh, we finally did it. And so my main character, Mian, she's been sitting in a room basically for 3 days, because she's not allowed at the council, because she's not one of the leaders. And her husband comes in, and he's like, oh, we finally did it. And she's like, how'd you get her to agree? And he's like, so now I gotta take a minute to explain something. I have these 8 giant beasts of magical power. They're basically like nukes. And they wander around the world. And at the beginning of the story, Mian captures 4 of them. And the purpose for them was to give them to each of these 4 nations to equalize the power. And the other 4 are still wandering around. Well, actually 3 of them are. One of them's been captured. The other 3 are still wandering around. So basically, to get her to agree, he started talking about how the other 3 are still loose. And of course, Nimosee gets really interested. And she's like, oh yeah, tell me about this. And so he tells her. And they all come to the conclusion that those 3 are still free and wandering. And so she agrees on the context that no one will attempt to capture them, and that her people will have exclusive rights to attempt to capture them. Now, Mian's people have an ability that's exclusive to her people that allows her to catch them. And her people are also the only ones in the entire series that have red hair. And it's a very dominant trait. and her people are on an island. So basically, Mian is a complete exotic foreign person, and there's no one like her anywhere. So in her husband's mind, he was basically giving her a blank gift, because he was like, there's no way you can catch them. My wife is the only one who can catch them. You probably won't even find them. And so when he said, yeah, of course you could just go ahead and capture the other three, he was thinking nothing bad was going to happen. Well, as we're trying to determine the traits of this character, and Katie says, I think that she's got to be super hot. And then I started imagining her as a pirate, and pretty soon that became like a hot redhead with an eye patch and leather, and they're like, yes, of course, that's definitely what you got to do. And I was like, you just got to have a crazy hat. And then I had this, oh my god moment. It was like, holy shit, guys, hang on a second. I need a minute. I'm hyperventilating. Because I realized what just happened. Have you seen it yet? Do you figure it out? Because this is what just happened. If Nimosee is a redhead, that means she's part of Mian's people. Which means that she also has the ability to catch these things. Which is the whole reason why she would have been interested in them in the first place. And why it was a big deal to her that her people were the only ones that had the rights to catch them. So, what this means now is that Nimosee just became a really big threat. And so, when Mian's husband came in and said, hey, this is what I did, Mian is automatically pissed. And she's never met this woman, she's just been hearing things from them when they come in and tell her, and she already doesn't like her. But of course, now she has to hand over the ones that she's caught, which means they get to meet face to face, which means she's going to see this red hair and how gorgeous she is, and she's going to flip her shit. Because this is horribly dangerous now. Because if those people get their hands on the other three of these giant magical power beasts, it is basically the end of the world. So, when they were like, yeah, she needs to be a redhead, and I was like, yeah, you guys are probably right, and then I was like, oh my god. Now, she just became, like, the most amazing supervillain in the history of the world. Because she's, like, sexy and scary and super smart. And I just think that she's crude and snarky and rude in every way. And she breaks rules because she thinks that it's fun. And she's gonna be a fun character. I think that if I do write this, well, I'm gonna write it, but I think if I do get this published and people actually start to buy it, that this character is gonna be the one that they buy it for. It's kind of like how people buy Game of Thrones and A Song of Ice and Fire for Tyrion. I think that people would buy my book for Nimosee. It's gonna be pretty funny. So there's 8 minutes of me blabbing on about how some random chick became a super hot villain who was perfect before I even knew that. This is what's amazing about being a writer, is that things like this happen. Because I had already like written all of that, and I had made the decision, and then it dawned on me how perfect it was. And that's kind of how it happens, so I'm pretty excited. Yeah, I'm gonna call that video here. So I hope that you enjoyed me ranting about being a complete dork. Till next time.